with great sadness and heavy hearts, but also with genuine gratitude and praise for all that God has done and all you have meant to us. Both Sabrina and I feel like God has confirmed in our hearts that it's time for something new. So effective January 10th of this coming year, I will officially resign as lead pastor of this church we dearly love. Just as God called us to start Element Church 14 years ago, He's now asking us to let her go. I know this may come as a shock to many people, as it was for us as the process began. In many ways, we've had to let some plans, hopes, and dreams of ours die as we processed what God was doing in us. But if there's one thing I've tried to hold out as a standard for all of us, it's our core value. Obedience is our success. And I hope you know me well enough to know that I would never make a decision of this magnitude if I did not believe God was leading us to it. In February, God kept bringing Sabrina and I back to one specific phrase from Deuteronomy 6, repeated multiple times in different ways. It began to stir our hearts in a way we could not ignore. The phrase was this: the land you are about to enter and occupy. So on Monday, March 8th, Sabrina and I began to pray a dangerous prayer. God, if you want us to be somewhere else, if you want us in a new land, then we surrender to you. Please put us where we can do you the most good and where you can do the most good in our family and us. Since that time, and after many, many hours of prayer and fasting, wrestling with God, consulting family, friends, and colleagues, following dozens of confirmations through scripture, books, sermons, podcasts, and friends, we believe it's time for us to step down and step into God's new land for us. At this time, we don't know where that land is. I don't have a job waiting for me on January 10th, but we are confident God will provide one. Towards the end of March, we were made aware of a church in Texas which was beginning a search for the successor to their soon retiring founding pastor. We did not seek this out, but feeling released by God to do so, we submitted our names to their search committee and are currently in an interview process with them. Pastor Derek, our executive pastor, and Jay Forseth, our conference superintendent, have been walking with me through this process since that time. Our leadership council was informed a few weeks ago, and our staff 2 weeks ago. While we do feel a strong pull and connection to this church, they won't be ready for a new pastor until early fall of next year, and we do not know for certain that this is the land God has for us. All we know is that God's been clear to us that our time at Element is ending, and allowing Element the freedom to move forward into their new land seemed to be the most honoring and prudent next step. I'm aware this brings up so many questions that our leaders nor I have answers to right now. Many of our answers in this season will be, I don't know or I can't say. In no way are we seeking to hide anything about the process, the people involved, or this potential destination. We desire to be as transparent as we can through all of it. As to the potential destination, this church, we need to protect their anonymity as they have yet to tell their congregation of the succession plan they have, so we're honoring that. As to the process and people involved, you can rest assured I am delivering this to you from a place of deep, deep love and respect for all of our staff, our leadership, and you, the people of Element Church. I have not been asked, nor was I required to step down for any reason outside of just my desire and obligation to follow the Spirit's leading. While we are confident God led us to it, I'm also aware this decision can cause emotions like hurt, anger, confusion, betrayal. Knowing the disappointment and pain I may cause is one of the most complex parts of making this decision. Every week, I try and say these words to you, and I mean them from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys so much. It's my honor to be your pastor. And the thought of hurting or harming any of you is heartbreaking to me. I'll end with the verse God used to bring final confirmation to my heart that we should do this. Psalm 138:8. The Lord will work out his plans for my life. For your faithful love, O Lord, endures forever. Don't abandon me, for you made me. I don't know the ultimate plans, but God does. And as hard as it is, I'm trusting in him. He has plans for my family and me, for yours and for our church. He has plans we can't even fathom. And he invites us along for the adventure. So thank you, Element Church, for 14 incredible years of ministry. Every life that's been changed, every connection made, and every impact that's happened through this place will never be far from my heart and my mind. Lord willing, we have a few months left together. I'm asking that each of us double down our efforts to pray, stay united, and remain committed to God and his church. It's his church, not mine, and not yours. And the gates of hell itself cannot stand against God's church. In just a moment, our executive pastor, Derek Mowry, will be sharing some next steps with you. But I want to say a couple things to some specific people, and we'll see if I can get through this. I want to thank my wife, Sabrina. Your undeniable support of me in ministry, I can never repay. When God called us to leave everything and come here, you were immediately in. And when God started doing this, you were immediately in. And I'm so thankful for you. I love you. To my friend Todd, I love you too, buddy. To have a friend like you who says, I'm with you heart and soul, whatever you decide. More people need friends like you. To Pastor Derek, no amount of words will ever describe the thanks and gratitude I have for how graceful you've walked with me through this. You've carried a weight that people should not have to carry. So thank you. To our staff at Element, I've already spoken with you personally, but your church needs to hear this. God has placed you here for just such a time as this. I believe in you, and God believes in you. And you've got this. You've got it. There are so many people I could say thank you in words to. So many of you we wanted to tell in person. But I hope you understand, for obvious reasons, why we couldn't do that. So to our Element family, a few things I just want to say to you as a challenge as we walk through this. I'm asking our church for undeniable unity. I'm not asking anyone to like it. I'm not asking anyone to agree with it. What I am asking for is those of us who call Element Church home, that we would remain united around Jesus, his mission, and the vision he's given to our church. None of that's changed. None of it's changed. I'm asking for unwavering commitment to God's church, specifically Element Church. Like this is my calling. It's my job. As a pastor's kid and a pastor all my life, I've never got to choose where I would attend church. I worked at churches. But if I got to choose one, I'd come here. I love our church. I love it. And I'm asking for those of you who call Element Church home to have an unwavering commitment that if you say you love me and you want to honor me, the best place for you to do that is to be committed here. That's the best way to show your love and honor for me. And then lastly, church, I'm asking for us to have an uncompromising faith. We live in a world that needs Christians to be uncompromised in their pursuit of Jesus and his ways as they are expressed in his word. And church, my dream, I've already written it in my prayer journal, and I've started praying it every day, is that I would come back to Element 20 years from now, and this church would have gone farther and deeper and be healthier than I could have ever possibly imagined. That's my dream. Again, it's my own plans and desires, but I'm praying that God makes it so. I love you guys so much. It's my honor to be your pastor. Pastor Derek.
I'm fully aware that public speaking is not my gift, but is you'll find out here in a minute. But as the executive director of the church and the leader of our staff, I wanted to share a couple of things with you today. I know this announcement wasn't what you expected to hear today, and my heart goes out to you in the same boat. I promise it wasn't something Pastor Jeff or any of us saw coming our way either. But we have to move forward, and we must continue trusting the Lord has a plan for the next season for all of us. By faith, Pastor Jeff is taking his next step, even though he doesn't know where it'll take him yet. Does it sound a little crazy? Yes, it does. Was it also a little crazy when Pastor Jeff loaded up his young family in 2007 and moved to Cheyenne to start this new church in a community he had only ever driven through up to that point? Yes, it was. There's a parallel here we can't overlook. If you're listening to this announcement today, I suspect your life has been impacted by this single step of obedience. Is it possible that God can do it again wherever he takes the Manis family? And again, through whomever he is calling here? Absolutely he can. We're all stepping into an unknown future, but with the same expectation that God will continue to move in us and through us. In my recent devotional reading, I was reading Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. It says, "My thoughts are nothing like your thoughts, says the Lord. My ways are far beyond anything you could ever imagine. For just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts." This passage applies here and now, right now. In this moment, we must trust the Lord's ways over our own. Even though we may be disappointed, scared, angry, or simply in shock, we're going to continue to trust that God has a plan for us. Yeah, it hurts right now. It will hurt for a season. But we must remain united, continuing to pursue the vision together. Pastor Jeff will continue to step into his new calling in his life, and we will continue to step into the process of identifying the next leader God has already prepared to lead us. We have a plan and we have great support in place for this uncharted season in our church. With news of this nature, we wanted to keep the closing of today's service brief. I'll have more information and an outline of our next steps in the transition process 2 weeks from today on September 26th following the message.